Live from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into coverage of East Coast Conference women's basketball, streaming exclusively on Flow College. Tonight's conference opener features the College of Staten Island Dolphins taking on the Mercy University Mavericks in a rematch of the 2025 ECC Championship semifinal. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, joined on the call by Nicholas Pavona, and this is the McDonald's pregame show. McDonald's is our scoreboard sponsor here at the College of Staten Island, and they bring you our pregame coverage ahead of every CSI Dolphins home game. And Nick, the Dolphins come in having lost 3 straight after a 2-1 start to their season. The Mavericks have also lost 3 straight coming in and will be looking to avenge a loss to the Dolphins in last year's ECC tournament.
Well, dating back to not only those 3 meetings that they had last year, including that postseason matchup, Joe, but the Dolphins have had the Mavericks number the last couple of times that these two teams have met. Dolphins have won the last 4 meetings versus the Mavericks. They won all 3 meetings, as we mentioned before, in the 24-25 season, and including that thrilling overtime victory over the Mavericks, 60-58 in the semifinals of the ECC tournament. And looking at these two teams coming into the night, as you mentioned, both of them coming off a 3-game losing streak, so something has got to give for one of these two teams. And we spoke about this our last broadcast. The importance of conference play is so crucial for both sides. Of course, they want to get back to at least the semifinals, even further than the semifinals of the ECC tournament this upcoming season. The Dolphins coming off a recent loss to Southern Connecticut State. Meanwhile, Mercy is coming off a most recent loss to Assumption. These two teams have played a couple of similar opponents, Southern Connecticut State, Bentley, including, and even in that Bentley win, that was the lone loss Bentley has on the season. They were the number 10 team in the country when they lost that game to Mercy. So Mercy has the capability of beating some top teams in the country, and now they try to end their 3-game losing streak coming into the night. Meanwhile, the Dolphins look to do the exact same thing.
And we're going to dive a bit deeper into what was an incredible game during last year's ECC Championship semifinal. But the victory in that game last year earned the Dolphins the first Division II Conference Championship berth in the history of CSI Athletics. That being said, the team that takes the court tonight against Mercy looks very different from that championship team last year. Beyond the personnel, how does this Dolphins team look different from the team that earned a berth in last year's championship game?
Well, you look at some of the newcomers on this team, Stitchy Barnes, Racky Kane, Shanae Emmons. Keep in mind, Joe, for this game, it doesn't look like Racky Kane is going to play. I did not see her dressed up in the pregame warm-up, so it doesn't look like she's going to be with the Dolphins in this game tonight. And that's a big loss considering what we've seen from this Mercy team in terms of rebounding this season. So you look at Edmonds, who had a really strong game in the last game against the Owls, 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in that game. Kyra Rose did not start the previous game before the game against the Owls. She did play the last game. They need her more than ever in terms of the glass, trying to get some rebounds. She right now leads the team with 7.6 rebounds per game. Stitchy Barnes as well is having a nice season in terms of rebounding. And they have to figure out a way to find that perimeter shooting that helped them in that matchup in the playoffs last season against Mercy. If they can find that rhythm that we saw in the ECC semifinals, they'll have a shot to end their 3-game losing streak here tonight.
And that's a good point you make, Nick. Looking back at that championship game and putting together our highlight package that we'll get to a bit later, it was apparent the Dolphins were leaning heavily on their outside shooting in that victory. But on the other side, the Mavericks' top 4 scorers and top 3 rebounders are all back this year. This includes the ECC's leading scorer, Grace Lesko, who is averaging over 19 points per game. What other Mavericks do the Dolphins need to watch out for? And while the Dolphins did do a good job defensively against Lesko last year, how do they look to match up with the 6-foot junior here tonight, especially in the absence of Racky Kane?
Well, especially with Lesko, you know, she's the reigning ECC Rookie of the Year last year, and she's having a really strong campaign this year. You mentioned the 19 points per game she's having as well. But also look out for Imani Abuatab as well. 12.3 points per game this season, 4.8 rebounds per game in her last game, 17-5 against Assumption. In the 3 games against the Dolphins last year, had totals of 8 points, 2 rebounds, 11 points, 5 rebounds, and in that semifinal matchup, 12 points and 9 rebounds. So she's very capable of getting boards off the glass. You also have to check out for Megan Marcotte, a very, very strong, defender inside of the paint. One of the leading blockers for this team. 2.4 blocks per game. coming into tonight's contest, had 4 in their win over Bentley. So she'll be a big presence in the glass. And remember, Joe, in the last game for the Dolphins, that's where a lot of their points came inside of. They got a lot of points at the perimeter, but also a lot of points inside of the paint.
A lot of size on this Mavericks team that the Dolphins will have to contend with tonight. And on the other side of this break, we'll take a look back at last year's ECC Championship semifinal matchup. We break for the national anthem. More to come from the McDonald's pregame show when we come back.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
And we're back here on CSI Sportsnet. And as promised ahead of the break, it'd be tough to preview tonight's matchup without taking a closer look back at last year's ECC Championship semifinal. Let's run it back, Nick, and take a look at some highlights.
So many highlights to break down in this game, Joe. You see right here a miss from Phelan, but a nice job by Kyra Rose on the putback for the Dolphins' first points.
A big factor in this game, Amber Abu-Spair off the Alarcon screen. She knocks down the pull-up, and the Dolphins go ahead by 3.
You see Noemi Masinga here gets the steal, looks for some help, finds Kirolo. She gets Alarcon inside of the paint. Dolphins get a nice 2 points right there, and then they force a turnover right here in just a second.
Well, the Dolphins' defense played a huge role in that win against Mercy in the championship semifinal. Here's some more Dolphins defense around the half-court line. They ultimately force a backcourt violation.
Defense was so strong for them in that game. Meanwhile, we'll see Alarcon, after the miss, gets the putback. Dolphins with a 7-point lead going into the half.
27-20 at halftime. Dana Phelan makes it a 6-point game here in the third quarter.
Shirley could use her shooting again once here tonight. We'll see Abu Atab, though, one of the players I mentioned earlier on, gets a nice putback and a tough and one to keep the Mavericks in that game, make it a 4-point game at that point.
And you can see the size for Mercy played a big role on the inside in this game. But the Dolphins did enough as Abu-Spair misses the 3. The Mavericks look to get moving in transition, and this basket would see Mercy take the lead. Mavericks in front, 33-32.
At this point, 37-36. Abu-Spair forces the steal, looks up the court, finds Kirolo, wide open 3, knocks it down for the Dolphin 2-point lead.
Big basket late in the third quarter. Kyra Rose here, grabs the rebound in transition, checks over her shoulder. Abu-Spair wide open, another huge Dolphins 3. A point we made earlier, Nick.
And you'll see Abu-Spair with another big defensive play, steal off the inbound, easy transition too for the layup.
Just about 3 minutes to go. We wind it back a significant way here. About 3:20 on the clock. Mercy takes the lead, but the Dolphins answer back.
Dolphins get the steal off the inbound. Big three for Abu Spare once again as she knocks out a big shot once again for this Dolphins unit.
Big basket. Abu Spare, big basket. Dana Phelan. That came in overtime.
And then you'll see right here, Angelina Barrera. She gets a step-back jumper to make it a 1-point game for Mercy.
Barrera inactive tonight. The Dolphins trailing by 1, 30 seconds to go. Who else but Jenelise Alarcon?
Tough finish inside for Alarcon, but Joe, it's the play of the year for this Dolphins team. Phelan, with 7 seconds, knocks down the game-winning three to find a way to give CSI the win and send them to the ECC championship game.
What a game that was. And if you look to the right of the Dolphins bench, you may have seen a familiar face, as that's where I was seated at the press table. A lot of fun traveling up to Amherst. Damon did a great job hosting those games, and it was a pleasure to watch this Dolphins team play while I wasn't on the clock officially. Got to take in a game. Admittedly, would have loved to call it. As we're about to have opening tip-off, Nick, quickly get us the starting lineups.
Mavericks will start number 4, Morgan Miller, number 11, Amani Abuatab, number 22, Kyla Nembach, number 32, Gabrielle Martin, and number 44, Grace Lesko. For the Dolphins, number 1, Stitchy Barnes, number 3, Shunye Emmons, number 4, Kyra Rose, number 10, Dana Phelan, and number 22, Dorothy Weesey.
Dolphins take on the Mavericks in their conference opener. Did not face the Mavericks here at home until February of last season. As the tip-off goes to Mercy, controlled by Nembach. Feed to Lesko, who was
I'm
pushed from
surprised
behind.
there was not a foul call right there.
Yeah, I mean, Weesey gave her a nice shove, and that is a tough matchup for Dorothy Weesey.
Yeah, we mentioned with no Kane in the game today, it's going to be really tough for Weesey inside the paint to try to guard. Lesko leads the conference in points as she draws the foul.
Well, Weesey stands 5'8", Lesko the 6-footer. And looking at that matchup, Nick, there's more than a 4-inch height difference there.
Yeah, Lesko had a 30-point game against Bentley in that stunning victory. Bentley at the time was the 10th-ranked team in the country.
They get it to Lesko, and there's an easy 2 to open the scoring.
And how many times do we see against the Owls, Joe, where they went inside the paint, took advantage of the mismatch that the Dolphins had? Got to expect that Lesko is going to do that here in this game.
And Nick, a welcome addition back to the broadcast desk. Our scoreboard is back online.
Very welcome addition.
Edmonds deep 2 is an air ball. The rebound was tipped to Lesko.
Had so many big shots for the Dolphins in that last game. I mentioned 22 points for Edmonds in that matchup with Southern Connecticut State.
On the drive, Miller banks it in.
And Miller got a nice screen right there and found a wide open layup underneath the rim. Mavericks go up 4 early.
This is Phelan. Quickly doubled, flips it to Edmonds. Tight window on that pass. Edmonds back out to Phelan for 3. Splash.
Well, we mentioned it, Joe. The Dolphins need to find that perimeter shooting that they had in that championship semifinal. They knocked down their first 3 of the night right there by Phelan, who, of course, had that game winner.
Lesko with her back to the basket. Finds Abuatab for 3. Way off.
Abuatab trying to answer right back, but to no avail.
We see in the corner. Crowd wanted her to shoot it. Dolphins have plenty of time, 18 on the shot clock. Edmonds finds Weesey. Weesey with the left, can't finish. And Abuatab snatches the rebound. Miller spins. And that's good defense by Weesey, but she saved it right to Lesko for 2.
Great defense, but that initial pass, she had to wait another second and could have avoided that turnover. Instead, Mavericks get a bucket underneath the rim. And, Joe, that's something the Dolphins need to fix as well. We've talked about that at a bunch of times this season. Their turnover problems have really plagued them in a couple of their games this season.
This is Rose. To the corner for Phelan. It was easily stolen, and Dolphins is plagued by turnovers. Commit one early, as that shot is short off the front rim by Miller. Rose in transition. Finds Edmonds. And her jumper's no good. Rebounded by Barnes. And Barnes can't put it in.
Great chance right there for the Dolphins to get second chance points, but A little bit too much on that shot by Barnes off the initial miss.
Just over 3 minutes gone by. Mavericks lead at 6-3. Lesko screens for Abuatab. She gets inside and throws up an air ball. Barnes should have let her touch it, but it was last touched by Abuatab as we get one more look at that Dana Phelan three-pointer.
It's a familiar shot that we've seen all last season, but it's been a shot we haven't seen that much so far this year. The Dolphins are hoping that maybe that could spark something for Phelan in this game.
This is Edmonds over to Phelan. Now Barnes, as an offensive foul was called on Phelan off the ball.
I believe
that Francis Torres on
yeah.
the screen. Thought they initially got Phelan for the push-off, but it was Francis Torres with the illegal screen.
Yeah, she checks in for Weesey, and that's got to be, of course, is a situation where you're trying to get that size to try to guard Lesko inside of the paint.
Well, the Mavericks haven't been able to take full advantage of that mismatch yet as that three rattles out. Offensive rebound was pulled in by Martin. Mercy resets, entry pass Lesko. And she flips one up and in. Count the basket and the foul.
Tough play right there by Lesko. Gets the and one on the bucket. And this is what we talked about, Joe. She's the league scorer in the conference, and the reigning ECC Rookie of the Year has already 4 points to start this game.
Something to keep in mind as well, the tallest Dolphin active tonight is 5'10" Shania Edmonds, or make that Maya McKee, but the tallest Dolphin who's played significant minutes this year is Edmonds. And you really don't want to put a player who's been your top scorer among the active Dolphins up against the other team's best player and have her exerting herself at the defensive ends, or put you in a bind. As Phelan's runner, no good off the window, but she has her own miss. Poked away, and Rose controls a 15 to shoot.
So Rose creating a lot of opportunities last game, getting to the free throw line a lot.
Barnes on the pull-up. That's good.
How tough of a shot was that one, Joe? Hand in her face, and it did not matter. She knocks down the pull-up jumper.
Well, if Stitchy Barnes begins to knock those shots down with consistency, she becomes infinitely more dangerous offensively as Lesko has 2 more easy points.
Speaking of dangerous, Lesko, it's 6 already in this first quarter.
She's very quickly 4 for 4 from the field. Dolphins, as I touched on during the pregame, they've done a good job against Lesko in previous meetings as that jumper won't go for Phelan. Abuatab left open, did not elect to shoot it.
Dolphins got to try to figure out their zone defense right now, a little bit scrambled up.
Martin flips it up and in, and the Mavericks lead by 7.
And how many of those points have come inside the paint, Joe? It could be very well that they have all of their points inside the paint right now.
You are correct, Nick. 12 points, all in the paint. Edmonds left open, rattles out.
Those shots were falling in the last game. So far, not falling for Edmonds.
Abuatab on the pull-up, makes it a 9-point Mercy lead, and that will prompt the Dolphins' timeout.
Abuatab with a nice pull-up jumper. You just see how quickly this team goes, Joe. They get the rebound, they go right up the court, get a nice bucket right there on the pull-up jumper, and they go up 9 with 4:14 to go in the quarter.
Strong start for the Mavericks in this 2025-26 conference opener. We head to break with 4:14 remaining in the first quarter. Mercy in front, 14-5. And we are back from the tank where it is an early 9-point lead for Mercy University. They lead the College of Staten Island 14-5. Grace Lesko already with 8 points. The Mavericks with 12 of their 14 points in the paint as the Dolphins turn it over for the 4th time.
Yeah, it's kind of a careless one right there as they will check to see if the player is okay. The collision right inside of the paint at the free throw line with Phelan. And I'm trying to see the number of the player that went down.
Yeah, a couple of players went down at the other end of the floor. It was Phelan and Martin. I'll make that.
Nembach.
Yeah, Nembach. Thank you, Nick. 22-32, standing very close together.
You know what it was? I saw it too. I almost said Elwood, and I wanted to make sure I got the right number because I've done that, unfortunately, once or twice. Where
you saw just the 2.
Yeah, I preemptively saw one number, and I said, you know what? It's got to be that number, right? Surely has to be that number. But as you mentioned, Joe, I think you said 4 turnovers now for the Dolphins in this first quarter. And talking to Nicole Sarcone last game, the Dolphins had that number they were trying to avoid throughout the entire game, which was 15. So trying to avoid that early in this game.
Buatov on the pull-up gives Mercy a double-digit lead.
She's been off to a great start, not only in this game, but for this season. A deadly 1-2 punch with her and Lesko.
Mavericks have been ultra efficient early in this game, now shooting nearly 62% as Rose was stripped, and the Dolphins will keep it.
And this is where it's tough when your perimeter shooting's been on and off this season because you're down 11 early in this game. You would love to have maybe a 3-pointer fall at some point. You already have the one with Phelan, but the Dolphins, meanwhile, have not really been able to get a 2-point shot to go.
Rose left
right
open
on
and
cue.
Makes the Mavericks pay. Right on cue, but
did I do that on purpose?
We're impartial. But to your point, Nick, I brought it up last game. It's hard to imagine the Dolphins being competitive game in and game out if they continue hitting threes at about a 1-in-7 rate. And if Lesko's hitting that shot outside of the paint, the Dolphins are going to have a really tough time tonight.
Yeah, you have to think after the 3 meetings they had last year, Lesko wanted to have a nice impact in the first game of the conference season.
Rose left open again, couldn't hit the mid-range jumper. And Barnes was way too strong on that attempt, but Dolphins have to have those shots, Nick. And that's an offensive foul against Buatov.
Yeah, Buatov had Miller open for the 3-pointer. I was curious to see if she would kick it out, but did not. It's an early foul on her in this quarter. Someone that the Dolphins might need to try to get into foul trouble in this game with the way she has shot so far.
This is Phelan on the wing, defended by Nembach. Barnes drives the baseline, gets inside, and can't finish. Speaking of shots the Dolphins have to have, that's one of them.
Barnes had some good looks so far in the quarter. Just shots haven't fallen so far for her. As the travel is called right there on Miller.
Well, something that's been really impressive about Barnes is her quick first step. She gets moving downhill very quickly off of receiving a pass. Her first step often gets her by her defender. It's been a matter of defenders collapsing and defenses allowing her to shoot those mid-range jumpers. And if she can get those to go, she becomes very dangerous as Phelan's off on that attempt.
And that one just really no much of a look right there for Phelan.
Well, that was forced early in the shot clock. Phelan did not need to shoot that.
And I think that's another issue, Joe, is that the Dolphins seem very urgent at some of their possessions. We saw that last game where a couple of those turnovers where they were trying to get back to that fast-paced offense we saw earlier in the year, and that led to some of their turnovers because they were trying to go quick. That one right there, they were going a little bit too quick on the shot clock. They've got to find some open looks. They've had some open looks. It hasn't fallen yet, and they need to try to not force up shots if they want to get back into this game early on.
I think a big question for this Dolphins team through the first 6 games now, as that's far too easy. The lay-in by Sophia Hoyt makes it a 13-point game, but the big question mark for them is how much can they rely on turnovers, transition points, and playing quickly? Because right now they're shooting 3 of 15, and when they played well, they have forced turnovers and gotten running. In the half court, they've struggled quite a bit.
They've gone scoreless for a couple minutes now before this quarter ends.
It's been over 2 minutes without a basket, as that foul is number 2 on the Mavericks. There's still plenty of wiggle room there with under a minute to go in the quarter.
See Gemma Singer now checking in for the Dolphins.
I think what we've seen now, last couple of home games, Nick, is that the Dolphins really need Racky Kane back in the lineup.
Yeah.
That extra scoring and size makes a difference at both ends of the floor. As Phelan's floater is good. That's a tough shot.
Well, we mentioned it with Kane out, someone has to step up in scoring, and the Dolphins are hoping that Dana Phelan can step it up here tonight. It's an early 5 points for her.
Now, we've seen Phelan utilize that runner throughout her Dolphins tenure as Rose can't finish. And you see it, Nick. The Dolphins, when they rebound and miss, they are looking to push and they are looking to score in transition.
Yeah, that's what we saw early on in the conference challenge to start the season. They would get quick rebounds, try to go up the court very quickly, and it worked in those first 2 games, but has not worked since then. And speaking of working, Nembach knocks down the 3.
Deep 2, toe on the line. They got you, Nick.
Gotta check that before.
They got you. We're good for one of those a game.
Yeah.
You got to watch the scoreboard. You got to watch the
That's
screen.
That's true.
Turnover there by Singer, and she took it right back. But that will do it for the first quarter. Our score after 1, Mercy University 22 and the College of Staten Island 9. A big first quarter for the Mavericks sees us head to the second with Mercy in front by 13. Second quarter underway from the College of Staten Island, with the Mavericks leading the Dolphins 22-9. And Nick, Mercy shot over 60% in the first quarter. Dolphins just 4 of 17. CSI also turned it over 5 times, and we mentioned it earlier in the first. Mercy's been really good around the basket.
Yeah, a lot of points inside the paint, and the Dolphins have really been struggling early on in this game to shoot as well.
That three-pointer no good. Abuatab with the offensive rebound and putback.
Just too easy, Joe. She had the mismatch with Singer on her, and we mentioned the rebounding number she has this season. That was just going to be really tough for Singer to get any type of defensive play on that one.
Rose gets the roll.
Not an easy one right there by Rose. Just gets the nice friendly touch.
Well, you can see it, Nick. The Dolphins have been able to get to the rim with some room. We've seen defenses collapse when the Dolphins are on offense much of the year, but they're getting that quick first step and beating their defenders, often off the catch, just a matter of finishing. There's a wild shot that goes in. That was Paige Fortin.
Yeah, wild might be the understatement on that shot. I'm not sure how that went in.
That was a circus finish. And then she got the roll. Singer for Ditto. Ditto on the drive, can't finish. And it was tipped out by Mercy. And again, Ditto did get by the initial defender, had a look at the rim, but could not finish. Here's another look at the other end at that running skyhook by Fortin.
Yeah, I'll give it a running skyhook.
That's what it looked like to me as Phelan is blocked on the 3.
Mavericks have numbers.
And they have an open jumper, a bit short. And a foul was called on the inside. It goes against Singer. And you can see it, Nick. At the offensive end, it seems like Dana Phelan knows that this Dolphins team needs her to score. And she's been very quick to shoot it when she gets the ball in her hands.
And you can also see that the Mavericks are just taking advantage of the size differential as well. They're getting a lot of cuts. If you notice on their possessions, a lot of cuts inside, trying to find someone underneath the rim. So they've been really doing that to perfection so far.
Abu Attab knocks down the deep two, and not only has Mercy been efficient around the basket, their jumpers are falling.
Yeah, Abu Attab's just been lighting up this scoreboard here in the first half, and this is almost somewhat similar to what we saw the last game too with the Owls. They were shooting the ball almost at a similar rate.
It seems like any jumper that's been taken from inside the three-point line has gone down for Mercy. They're 0 for 4 from downtown. On other field goal attempts, they are 14 of 19 in the game. Rose is fouled. And you said it before, Nick. I think if you're the Dolphins, you have to be looking at potentially trying to chip away from the free throw line, because right now they're really having a tough time scoring with any consistency at the offensive end.
Question's going to come down to, can they knock down those free throws? As Rose misses the first.
Reorient that camera just a bit.
Yeah.
We're a bit off to the left.
There we go.
How's that?
That's good.
We do it all. Broadcaster, camera operator, producer, engineer. Have you ever been the camera operator for a game?
PDF I was.
And there's a nice finish inside by Martin.
I don't
Again,
think here, though.
too easy. Well, when I first got my start now, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary, and I think we're looking at probably a month from now will be my 10th year, the beginning of my 10th year here at CSI. But when I got my start, I did some camera operating, and I'll tell you a funny story about that in a minute as the Dolphins turn it over. We'll wait for the next media timeout. I don't think it will surprise you, though. Abu Attab surveys, 20 on the shot clock. Now Lesko with her back to the basket. Goes at Edmonds. And the Dolphins have put Edmonds on Lesko now. Looked like they were trying to avoid that to start the game. And you can see it. That's a much better matchup. Abu Attab. Spinning jumper is short. Barnes has the rebound, and the Dolphins look to push. And that was tipped.
Well, I think the reason they're getting that matchup with Edmonds, and they're trying to avoid that, because they don't want her to get into foul trouble if Lesko tries to force up a shot. But right now, the Dolphins really need her to play her at this point, because you got to find someone that can at least give Lesko some fits inside of the rim.
I think foul trouble is certainly part of it, but I think it's more so having her expending a lot of energy at the defensive end, because they need Edmonds to score. She's been by far the most efficient scorer of the Dolphins who are out there tonight, as Weesey can't get the roll. And this game is very much in danger of getting away here in the first half. It is a 19-point Mavericks lead, and Abu Attab makes it 21.
Just feels like Abu Attab can't really miss right now, Joe. She's been on fire to start this game.
Abu Attab, 5 of 10, but of her 5 misses, 3 of them have been from beyond the arc. And here's one more look at that last finish.
Nice spinning floater to get the and one.
Free throw is good, and the lead is now 22 points. Still over 6 minutes to play here in the second quarter.
Dolphins could really use some type of run before this first half ends. You mentioned down now 22 in this game.
Phelan's runner won't go, but Dolphins are in a really tough spot in this game where they've struggled shooting, and the Mavericks have come out red hot, with the exception of their three-pointers. Put back no good there on the rebound by Martin. And a whistle comes from along the baseline. That's going to be a foul on the Dolphins.
I think the other issue, too, is I don't have the number in front of me, but the rebounding numbers just seem like a lot right now in favor of the Mavericks.
Well, it very much is a big rebounding disparity in favor of Mercy, 20-12, but I think a big part of that is the size disparity, and we knew that would be an issue coming into the game. And to be fair, Nick, you look at last year's Dolphins team, of the players who saw significant minutes, and again, I apologize if I'm missing somebody, but I think the only Dolphin who stood 5'11 or taller that played big minutes last year was Alexa Carolla.
I believe you're right.
I'd have to go look, and shame on me if I'm forgetting somebody who is a big part of that team. I apologize if I am, but I'll get a quick look at the roster, and I'll confirm that in a second, because I do believe the Dolphins did face a similar size mismatch last season as well.
And remember, that was a much more shorter unit in terms of how many players the Dolphins had on that roster and playing significant minutes.
I don't think they had anybody on the team over 5'11 outside of Carollo, and they did not.
That's a great block right there on the other end by Martin. I think that's the problem too, Joe. We saw the Dolphins the last game. They got a lot of points in the paint. They just have had no chance of getting points inside the paint with the way that this Mavericks team is playing defensively, as Martin goes from getting the block to now getting an and one.
And this game has very nearly gotten away from the Dolphins with still over half of the second quarter to go. And
this is what I've been talking about, Joe. Look at the cut that Martin will make inside, gets the screen. They find her underneath. They've been doing that a lot in this game so far. They're finding players underneath on the cut off of a screen. It's working, and instead of a three-point play, they get 4 points on the offensive glass.
Well, if you have the replay of that, we'll get a look at it again during the next media timeout after I tell my story. But that cut, once that cut happens, you're in an impossible spot defensively. I think on a play like that, the only way to deny that basket is to deny the cut, as Rose has the strong finish at the other end.
Yeah, I think that going into halftime, that's got to be something the Dolphins need to adjust to. They got to find a way to have someone underneath that can at least help them in terms of that size differential when the player is cutting off of that screen.
Abuatab had it poked away. And Ditto had it poked to her along the baseline. She saves it. Barnes is blocked, and the rebound goes to Hoyt.
Another rejection for the Mavericks.
Dolphins do a good job to get back defensively, but that's a transition opportunity you'd like to have back. Hoyt for Lesko, left open, in and out.
And you could just see it, even though they missed the shot, Lesko with 2 screens on the play, and they found her wide open for the long range too.
The Dolphins are in a position, as Barnes can't hit the tough fall-away jumper, but the Dolphins are in a position where they can defend really well, switch properly, rotate just as you like as a coaching staff, and still end up giving up what really becomes an easy 2 because of the amount of mismatches out there on the floor. Like, that entry pass was defended perfectly by Kyra Rose. There is nothing she can do there.
Yeah, that's why you saw Barnes at the last second trying to help on the help defense.
And even then, you have an open Abuatab in the corner.
Right.
So the Dolphins did what they were supposed to do there, and were it not for that foul call, it still could have ended up in an open 3. As we head to break, very quickly, my story.
Yes.
I did camera Tournament of Heroes. I believe it was 2017, maybe 2016. I'm up there where Pat is right now, shooting the game. I tried to be the main camera and the hero camera. After made baskets, I was popping the zoom, coming back out, shooting the game.
Yeah.
Didn't quite work. We went back to shooting regularly after a couple of games, but even then, I had an eye for the broadcast. Still had not made my first appearance on commentary, however. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Dolphins trail 37-13. And we're back from the tank, where we're going to take one more look, a couple of possessions back as the Mavericks get an easy 2 off the cut. Nick, I mentioned it at the time. Dolphins appear to defend this properly. We'll get one more look, and if you don't stop the cut the moment it happens, it's really tough to deny that basket. I think if you're the Dolphins, the only answer really is to play a bit more physically on defense.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe that zone defense that they've been running is going to help them at this point.
There's a big screen by Weesey. Rose left open, buries the jumper.
Nice shot by Rose to cut the deficit. As we mentioned before, Dolphins really could use a run with 3 minutes to go in the half. Got to try to cut into this large deficit early.
Abuatab lost it inside, but makes the save. A quick run to end this quarter could propel the Dolphins right back into striking distance. But they still have to find some answers at the defensive end. Kick out into the corner, and Abuatab knocks down the open three.
Abuatab with another three-pointer in this half. She has not been, she's missed a couple threes, but she's going to shoot at will when given the chance.
Dolphins will inbound from right in front of the scorer's table with just over 2.5 to play in the second quarter. But
it's a good thing they don't do the stats at that table anymore.
Yeah, very true. That would have been a basketball straight to the laptop screen.
Yep.
Mavericks still shooting nearly 60%. Haven't had the stroke from three-point range, but haven't needed it as Phelan's three goes in and out. Rebound was pulled in by Marcotte. To the corner. Hoyt back up top for Abuatab. Marcotte looking, finds Abuatab. 8 to shoot, and Abuatab was fouled. 15 foul on the Dolphins.
That'll put Mercy into the bonus for remaining 154.
Checking in for Mercy is number 4, Morgan Miller.
Morgan Miller back in for the Mavericks.
The line for Mercy is number 11, Amani Abuatab.
In this first half, we have only seen 5 free throw attempts. 3 for the Mavericks, 2 for the Dolphins. Mercy with that make, now 2 for 4. The Dolphins 0 for 2 from the line. It has been a very, very quickly moving first half, Nick. This game started at 5:30. We're almost at halftime. It's 6:03.
Well, Joe, something that I wanted to point out as well about this Mavericks team in terms of free throw shooting, their last game against Assumption, they were 22 of 22 the entire game. The perfect 100%.
They've already missed twice more than they did on 22 attempts, and tonight they have just 5. Rose got tied up, finds Edmonds. Phelan, off the mark. Phelan has looked to shoot almost every time the ball's touched her hands in this game.
Yeah.
She was so big for the Dolphins last year in that semifinal game. Of course, the game-winning 3, but along the way, a lot of big baskets as well contributed to what was a great defensive effort as Edmonds has the steal. One-on-one with Miller, and Edmonds finishes the scoop.
It's also good to see that Kyra Rose didn't get fully hurt from that pass heading off of her face, but nice job by Edmonds getting the fast break layup after forcing the turnover.
With the amount of contact that Kyra absorbs, I don't think a basketball to the face will phase her much.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another foul call that goes against Dorothy Weesey.
The Dolphins are now over the limit in the second quarter. At the line for Mercy is number 4, Morgan Miller.
Well, the lead for Mercy is 25. Under a minute to play here in the second quarter. And, of course, this is not the way you want any game to go, especially your conference opener. What are you looking for the Dolphins to change at halftime? What's the conversation without your top scorer and trailing by such a big margin at the half?
I think you're at the point where whoever gets the ball inside of the paint, they might have to have a second defender inside of the paint because that's where most of the damage has really come from. The problem is, with the way Abuatab has been shooting outside, that's the risk you run of running a double team inside of the paint. More than likely, you're going to want to run that double team off of Lesko, but it's really tough to figure out a way how they're going to strategize to try to stop those points from scoring inside the paint. I think it comes down to they might need to switch to a different type of zone defense, maybe go to a 2-3 instead of a 3-2 that we've been seeing so far this season.
Weesey draws the foul. That's 4 on the Mavericks, and they heard us speaking about how quickly the half was moving inside. We'll show you. You know, it's funny, Nick. I told you before we came on the air, I returned from Logan Airport this morning. I got home at about 2 o'clock. I thought this game was at 5. It was a relief when I walked in at 4:15 and was told, oh, the game's at 5:30.
You got a full hour and change.
As Rose rattles in the hook shot. Well, it's right back on United Airlines tomorrow. We head to Orlando for the weekend, and I'm back in time for the game next week. On the drive, that was Fortin, and she was fouled on the way in. Once again, Dolphins make that a charge.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the Dolphins might have reached before Fortin left her feet, but with 3 seconds to go, Nyla Davis will not shoot. Rose late on that attempt, and that will do it for the first half. Our score at halftime, the Mavericks 43 and the Dolphins 19. A TLC Physical Therapy halftime report featuring women's basketball head coach Nicole Sarcone coming up.
All right, Nicholas Malone rejoining you here for halftime. We're going to go to a couple-minute break here at the tank here at CSI. It's a 43-19 lead for Mercy as we head to the break. As Dolphins look to pull off a great come-from-behind victory in this matchup in their first game of conference play. We'll join you back at approximately 10 minutes from now with a recap of the first half and a preview of the second half right here on Flow College.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet as we get set to begin the second half from the College of Staten Island. It's a big lead for Mercy University. They lead it 43-19 as we get set to begin the third quarter. And Nick, we touched on it before halftime. What are some things the Dolphins can do to try and get this game a bit closer and come out of this feeling some sort of positivity? It's been a really rough last 6 quarters for this team.
Yeah, I think on the defensive side, they've got to find a way to stop the points inside of the paint. That was a big factor for the Mavericks in the first half, Joe. And on the offensive side, they've got to find cleaner shots because I feel like a lot of their shots in that first half, a couple of them were forced. They did have some open looks, but I felt like some of those shots were not the best shot selections that they could have taken. They've got to try to find a way to get some clean open looks in the second half.
Lesko right over Weesey off back iron, and the Mavericks nearly had the offensive board. It's loose.
And jump off.
Rose seemed to have complete control of that one. Possession arrow does favor the Dolphins. What a relief it is to have Scorebird back.
Oh, Joe, I cannot stress how big this has been for me tonight.
They need to give us sponsorship with how much we've been promoting the device as
Nice
Edmonds
move by
gets
Edmonds.
inside and banks it in.
Yeah, not that we didn't get through, those couple games without it, but it has been a big help because I haven't had to worry about me being off a couple seconds on the clock and have to worry about timeouts and fouls.
Nick, I did a game alone without it.
I know.
Couple of attempts there by the Mavericks. No
It's
good.
not easy, obviously.
It's not easy to do it with 2 people.
Right.
I did it by myself. As that gets through the hands of Edmonds, failing there to back it up.
And I think something also that they would like to see on the offensive side that we didn't see in the first half is give Edmonds the ball because
I was about to say that. Edmonds being more aggressive, and you can tell she's looking to be more aggressive. Couldn't finish there, but that was a good drive to the rim. She got inside, just couldn't convert. And the Dolphins need her to do that in a game like this, especially with deficit.
Yeah, she's had a couple of 20-point games this season and a very low-scoring first half for her. So you saw on that last possession, it was very aggressive, but 3 tries for the Dolphins, and they were not able to score.
And Miller was blocked.
A nice keep by Edmonds as well.
Edmonds with the save as well. This is Rose to the basket, and she banks it in.
How did she make that, Joe?
I thought for sure we'd get a call in one direction or the other. Big collision at the rim. We'll get one more look at it. They're giving Abuatab time to tie her shoe, so let's get one more look at that Rose finish.
You see the slight hesitation she made on the play to get to the bucket, and that was a circus shot that we also saw in the first half on the other side for Mercy. Now the Dolphins get their own circus shot.
That looked like a good no call on the replay, Nick. Rose went straight up, and maybe Abuatab embellished just a bit. But it certainly is possible that the momentum knocked her down as she answers right back with a basket at the other end.
And she cut to the rim again. That's been what their bread and butter has been so far. Just cutting to the rim, finding someone underneath, and taking advantage of the size.
Rose in the corner. Uses the Weesey screen and can't connect from the mid-range. Well, we saw it last game, Nick. Kyra's made a point of taking that shot a bit more. It's a shot we've seen her hit in this game. We've seen her hit it in the past, but just hasn't had the stroke as much tonight. Phelan back into the corner up top for Edmonds. For 3, short. And right now, Nick, Mercy is just content to let the Dolphins shoot it from the outside. If they look to attack, the defense immediately swarms.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the scouting report, you're seeing the numbers the Dolphins have had this season on the perimeter in terms of shooting. You're going to be more than a little bit more willing to give those buckets. And speaking of buckets, Lesko gets the and one on a tough play right there.
Foul on Dorothy Weesey. First Dolphins team foul of the third quarter. And here's Lesko taking it from the top of the arc into the paint. And the floater is good through the contact. The free throw is good. And the Mavericks are back up by 25.
She's such a dangerous player, Joe. Going into her junior season, we mentioned the reigning ECC Rookie of the Year, almost 20 points per game average this season. she's just pretty much done it all for this Mavericks team. And with that 1-2 punch of her and Abuatab, it's going to be really tough for a lot of teams in the ECC to try to stop them.
That shot way off and rebounded by Lesko. Corner three, too strong, and Edmonds pokes the rebound away from Lesko. Ditto for Barnes. Back up top, Edmonds for Phelan. Phelan, step back three, off back iron, and rebounded by Lesko. And that one got away in the corner. Went through Martin's legs into the Mavericks bench.
Mavericks certainly making their case that that was not indeed what happened. It did hit the line.
Well, can't weigh in either direction on that one, Nick. We are not very close.
That's for sure. That's for certain.
Center court, opposite sideline as Phelan draws the foul.
Of course, Joe, our first conference doubleheader of the season. We'll see the men's team in action later on against this same Mercy squad as well. Dolphins coming off a very impressive win in their last matchup with Georgian Court.
Phelan's free throw is good. Two for two trip to the stripe. Phelan. Lead is 23 for Mercy. Entry pass, Abuatab. Off the window, no good.
She'll get it right back for the Mavericks on the jump ball.
Dolphins were the beneficiaries of the possession arrow a couple of minutes back. Now the Mavericks keep it. They will inbound from the baseline with 20 to shoot. Mercy's still shooting over 52%, not quite the same extreme level of efficiency we saw from them in the first half. Dolphins at 26%. Once again, 1 of 8 from downtown.
Yeah, and I think that's something that the Dolphins, we talked about forcing those double teams inside the paint. That's exactly what you mentioned, what they could try to do on the adjustments for the second half. That's a great heads-up play by Phelan, because as soon as Lesko got the ball, she immediately forced that tie-up.
Rose on the pull-up, gets the bounce.
Turnover leading to points right there, and as you mentioned, a nice friendly bounce for Rose on the jumper.
Well, I think something that we've seen from the Dolphins in this game, they are getting open looks from the mid-range. It's not a matter of them forcing their mid-range jumpers as Abuatab knocks down a three. They're getting those open looks from the mid-range, and they're getting those shots up quickly. So they're getting plenty of shot attempts in this game. They have not turned the ball over at the rate we've seen in a couple of the tough losses here at home. As Barnes will try a three, that rolls off. But I think if they can protect the ball and get the same volume of shots we've seen against a team that's shooting a more, I don't want to say reasonable, but a more standard percentage, as in closer to the low 40s as opposed to the low 50s, this game could be a lot closer. Dolphins certainly have to hit more shots, but the Mavericks have just been extremely efficient tonight. Still over 52%. Ditto, open for three. No good.
Yeah, you saw right there, Dolphins get another wide open look. But as you mentioned, the shots just really aren't falling. As Lesko missed that three.
Barnes in the corner, left open. Can't hit. But that's a perfect example, Nick, as Barnes is open again, and again, she can't hit. The Dolphins have gotten open looks. This isn't a matter of not being able to get good open looks at the basket. Around the rim, it's been a bit tougher, but as I said before, these Dolphin players at the offensive end have that quick first step. They've gotten inside. Their jumpers in this game simply have not fallen.
And the Mavericks, meanwhile, their three-point percentage shooting hasn't really been the best tonight, but they're still shooting it. They don't care, Joe. They're just going to keep shooting at will. Meanwhile, that there is a Buatab on the ground, and that's certainly a sight, if you're a Mavericks fan, you don't want to see.
Well, a series of misses now have Mercy around 50% shooting, and Buatab remains down. So as she is attended to by the trainer, we'll step aside and take a quick break, or perhaps not.
Good to see she's able to walk
going
off.
to walk off on her own power. That's good to see.
They will go to immediate timeout now.
All right.
So we will take that 30-second break.
To break we go. 3:19 to go, third quarter. Dolphins trail 51-27. .319 to go, third quarter. Dolphins trail 51-27. Mavericks have it. As for CSI, their deficit has not increased since halftime. The two teams have combined 6 of 28, make it 7 of 29. Sophia Hoyt converts through the contact, and we'll head to the line for one more.
Nice job by Hoyt right here. And once again, Joe got a little bit of a screen. Nice move. Tough bucket gets the and one.
And the free throw is good to complete the three-point play. Prior to that, third quarter was 8-8. Both teams have been struggling from the field. Just 2 turnovers in the quarter, both belonging to Mercy. This is Edmonds. And she traveled.
And you're also kind of seeing, Joe, how good this Mercy team is. I know the record doesn't look like it right now with 2-3, but you know, when you beat a top 10 team in the country early to start the season, and right now that's Bentley's only loss of the year, it shows you that this team is capable of competing with the very best in the entire country. So it's not going to be easy for a lot of these teams in the conference to try to stop what has been a really good start for Mercy, because you're seeing it right here tonight. Their offense is very lethal.
Buatab knocks down another pull-up, and she appears okay.
Yeah, certainly to say the least.
We see for Phelan. Now Ditto. Splash.
Yeah, we saw that last game out for Ditto, knocking down a nice long-range three. Despite the hand in her face, knocks that one down.
We've spoken plenty about the Dolphins starters who scored efficiently, and of course Kane out, but Edmonds has been efficient this year, and the Dolphins without Kane certainly relying on Phelan for more scoring as Lesko finishes. But I think a valid question right now is, when you go to the bench, who do you turn to on the bench for production offensively? I think right now the answer to that is Ditto.
It certainly has to be the case as we'll get a second look at that last three-pointer that she made. And I think that's something that they kind of need right now, because if you look at how this team is in terms of the outside shooting, you know Phelan's going to shoot at points from the three-point line, but it really doesn't look like a lot of the players will shoot from the three-point line at times. So Ditto is probably going to be arguably the Dolphins' next best three-point shooter on the team.
The Dolphins in this game have attempted a lot of shots from the mid-range. They've attempted 12 threes, made 2 of them. And you have 3 players right now, 1 of 10 2 of 11 and 2 of 10 shooting in the game. And I think that's a product of a Mavericks team with plenty of size. They know you're looking to get inside. They're forcing the Dolphins for much of this game into becoming jump shot shooters. And from what we've seen this year, the Dolphins can knock down those shots, but I think their preferred means of scoring is attacking the rim. As Buatab had that shot stifled, she thought she was fouled. Ditto finds Edmonds, and Edmonds finishes.
Nice spin move right there by Edmonds. A nice inside pass from Ditto as Dolphins get the block and force a quick bucket right there.
Foul on the inside, and again, you're in a position where we see is mismatched against Lesko. Not much more you can do. But we've said it more than once this season, Nick. The Dolphins, when they get in transition, they're effective. And you see it again right there.
Checking in for Mercy is number 10, Caitlin Leary.
Buatab will get some well-rested minutes.
Caitlin Leary in for Mercy. Jasani Francis Torres in for the Dolphins. Final 32 seconds plus in this third quarter. Leary wasting no time, kicks it out. This is Hoyt, bounce pass, and an easy 2 from Morgan Miller.
Yeah, Dolphins got a little bit scrambled up after that pass, and a good job to find underneath the rim in Miller.
Phelan, pull-up jumper off the side of the backboard. Long outlet stolen by Nyla Davis. And Ditto's heave is no good off glass. That'll do it for the third quarter. Our score, Mercy 60 and Staten Island 32. Fourth quarter getting started from the College of Staten Island. Big lead for the Mavericks as they're on top of the Dolphins 60-32. Conference opener here at the College of Staten Island has not gone the Dolphins' way. And Nick, they started off the third quarter at the very least keeping the Mavericks at bay offensively, but late in the quarter, Mercy once again began to find their rhythm, getting to the basket, knocking down outside shots as Lesko can't hit that one off the shot clock, but Dolphins, it seems for now anyway, might have to figure things out without Raki Kane, and so far tonight, it's been a tough go of it.
Yeah, we've seen the last two games that they're really missing her presence right now on both sides of the court, defensively and offensively, so they've got to find a way to try to create an opportunity for someone to fill in that void that they currently have right now without her in the lineup. And I think what it comes down to it is we've seen some flashes from this team, but this game got away pretty quickly in the first quarter because of how big, the size differential is for the Mavericks. And once they got on that run in the first quarter and were up 14-5 and the Dolphins called their lone timeout in this game, it's been Mercy pretty much ever since then.
For Mercy is number 44,
Lesko back to the free throw line, knocks down the first free throw. Well, you said it, Nick, this Mavericks team handing Bentley their only loss. You have to keep in mind as well that 2 of the Dolphins' last 3 games have come against the Mavericks, a team that knocked off, at the time, ranked Bentley, and against Bentley. So those are 2 very high-quality opponents. You don't want to read too much into games like that, but Phelan off a nice move, couldn't get the floater to go.
And they lost to Southern Connecticut, who
Yeah.
did beat this Mercy team also this season earlier on.
That's a good point as well. So you have to take into account the level of competition the Dolphins have been playing without a player who's led them in scoring so far this year. But I think when you look at 3 straight results and another easy basket there, but 3 straight results make it, in fact, now 4, where it could end up the team loses by 23 plus in all of them. I think regardless of who you're facing, that's concerning, as that basket will not count. Rose whistle for the offensive foul.
Yeah, I think the concerning part is on both sides. You know, on the offensive side, a couple of those games they've scored just about around the 41-point mark. The last game they scored 52. And tonight, right now, they're at 32 with 8 minutes to go. And on the defensive side, what's really been troubling is that their paint defense has not really been showing up the last couple games. And a lot of wide open threes, too, that we've seen in the last 2 games, too, from 2 teams that if you give them that wide open shot and you're going to give them a 3-point opportunity, they're going to try to shoot it, and they can make you pay for it.
I think a big thing in this game as well, as there's another open look from beyond the arc, no good. The Mavericks, for much of this game, as that attempt by Hoyt won't go, the ball's still loose, and it will stay here. Though the Mavericks have not hit their threes tonight, they have hit their share of mid-range jumpers, Abuatab especially. She has 23 points. Lesko has a couple of mid-range jumpers as well. She has a double-double with 21 and 12. But when the Dolphins have made the Mavericks jump shot shooters from the mid-range, Mercy has knocked those down. When the Mavericks have made the Dolphins into jump shot shooters tonight, there's another 2-point jumper. That time it's Leary. When the Dolphins have been made into jump shot shooters from the mid-range, those shots have not fallen this evening. And there's another example right there.
And it's obviously frustrating, Joe, when the results have been like this the last couple games. But I think the only, thing that you can take away from this game is it is the first game of conference play. Yes, it's not the way you want to start conference play, but you've still got a long season to go with the conference, and you could certainly make up for it with the rest of the season. But they've got to find a way in their next conference matchup to try to bounce back from this game.
Any game where you lose by 30 plus is alarming, and the Dolphins could chip away, still 7 minutes. But I think it's important not to read too much into a single game and not to panic over a single result. And again, you're not starting your regular starting 5 without Raki Kane, and that's a player that you'd certainly expect to have back by the end of the regular season in time for the playoffs, hopefully much sooner. We don't know anything more than our viewers watching at home as the Dolphins force a turnover there, but you get Kane back, and this team looks very different immediately, and you're hoping that come the second meeting between CSI and Mercy, the result also looks a lot different.
Yeah, and I think also, we talked about it earlier with the Mavericks losing the last 4 matchups with this Dolphins team. 3 last season, including the playoff matchup. So this game was certainly one that the Mavericks wanted to get, trying to get that monkey off the back, get the victory, and start off conference play in a strong way. And they've certainly done that here tonight.
They sure have. Rose to Davis, inside Edmonds. Lost the handle briefly, and that gets through the hands of Rose. Singer controls. Ditto. Outside, Davis. Crosses over to her left and draws the foul.
Foul on number 10, Caitlin Leary. That'll be her first and Mercy's second of the fourth quarter. At the line for the Dolphins, number 21, Nyla Davis.
Free throw by Davis bounces in.
I was informed by Lewis that you guys are going to Orlando. I forgot about the Winter Classic coming up. That's at the end of the month, right?
Yep. So when our audience is without me on January 2nd, now they know why. No, I will be there, voice only.
Yes.
It is a very, very busy month of December. So there are 31 days in December. I think, I'm not going to count it out loud, but I would estimate I'm spending maybe of the 31 days, a max of 2 weeks at home. As that three-pointer won't go, and Davis has the rebound. Leary ended up on the floor, and Edmonds finds Davis. Now Singer on the pull-up, knocks it down.
Nice pull-up jumper right there by Singer. Dolphins trying to go quick on that possession, had to wait just a few seconds after getting that turnover. And Singer knocks down the pull-up jumper.
Just over 5 minutes to go. The lead for the Mavericks, 28 points, as Ditto has the steal. And the easy two.
Well, I think that's something that the Dolphins are hoping to see for the rest of the season from Ditto off the bench. We saw her earlier make an open three, and they need her on both sides of the court with the way these last couple games have gone. So we'll see if Ditto can be a contributor for the Dolphins the rest of ECC play as the Mavericks call a timeout.
Well, I don't think Scott Legis liked that last sequence very much. That prompts a Mercy timeout. However, they still lead big with 5:08 to go in the fourth. .508 to go from the tank. Mavericks in front by 26, and they possess it. Conference opener for both of these teams. Both came in having lost 3 straight games. The Mavericks closing in on a victory that would snap that losing streak, as the Dolphins forced the tie-up for a jump ball. Possession arrow favors CSI.
Got the X. How was the Knicks game last night at TD Garden?
I have to admit, Nick, as we'll stay right here through the media timeout, I have to admit the weather yesterday was not nearly what I expected. So we'll spare the audience much of the details, but beginning with our broadcast on Friday or Saturday. Was it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
So beginning with our broadcast on Saturday, immediately following that game, I began to work my way up the East Coast from Staten Island up to Boston. However, along the way, I stopped at every licensed professional sports authorized retailer. So that would include stores like Dick's Sporting Goods, Lids, different stores that sell pro sports merch. So for me, it was a business trip as much as it was a chance to see the Giants and the Knicks play. I drove close to 1,000 miles. And the last couple hundred yesterday were in a snowstorm that got increasingly worse as I approached western Massachusetts. Very dangerous.
Yeah.
By the time I was finished and made it to my hotel in Boston, I had no interest in going to that Knicks game. I tried to sell the seat, second row on court level, couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Wasn't going to eat the cost, so I went to the game, and I'm happy I did. It was a good game.
Now, the real question is, what was worse, the snow or watching the Giants play live?
Well, it was very cold, so I'd probably say that the driving was more of a danger to my physical well-being. The Giants were probably more of a danger to my sanity. But let's just say my objective was achieved in Foxborough as the runner is good by Edmonds.
Were you also fooled by the that missed field goal where he stepped on the turf and just lost his footing?
Well, admittedly, Nick, I don't think my eyes came off my phone for much of that game.
Right so.
It was a 2-possession game immediately, and I don't think I looked up much after that.
Yeah,
I spent the second half on field level watching on the Jumbotron. It was much warmer down there.
Yeah.
My seat was in the front row of the 300 level, as this tie-up is going to result in a jump ball. 2 on the shot clock at the time of that tie-up. Yeah, the Giants are a tough watch. I'm a Raiders fan, and if you're hearing me say a team is a tough watch as a Raiders fan, you know it's pretty bad.
And boy, do I have something fun for you.
Again, we'll stay right here.
Our two teams play each other in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah? The toilet bowl?
Yes, the toilet bowl of toilet bowls. Not for nothing. There's been a lot of toilet bowls in the NFL this season.
The NFL this year has been very, very top-heavy. The best teams are generally agreed upon by most and have been head and shoulders above a lot of the other teams. That being said, if you're not in that bottom tier of teams that absolutely can't win a game, it's been the kind of season where anyone can pick up a win against anybody.
What's the worst game? The Giants-Raiders game in a couple weeks or Browns-Titans on Sunday?
Browns-Titans pretty bad.
Yeah.
I would say
we might have some fun with that game.
I would say the worst matchup you could have is probably involving the Titans for sure. And then who would you say? Is it the Browns? Is it somebody else?
If I had to pick, I'd probably go Saints.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Saints.
I think that's fair.
Because at least with the Giants being bad, at least you know that there's some talent there with Dart in there, but they're still bad.
Dart is fun to watch to his own detriment. He will not slide.
I was going to say, he's fun unless he's getting,
injured.
Injured, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Mavericks were not aware of the shot clock coming out of the media timeout, either that or elected not to shoot it.
It's CSI basketball.
Speaking of football, we've made the point many times. The Dolphins will once again be in action on Super Bowl Sunday this year. Mm-hmm. My presence to be determined.
Well,
I'll be here.
Good thing for me is that I have a close friend that lives right by campus, so I won't have to go too far for the Super Bowl party after.
Isn't that just swell for you,
Just
Nick?
so swell.
As
it just
Rose
works out.
Gets the bounce, and not to be lost in the score tonight, Kyra Rose has had an efficient game. She's now 9 of 14 from the field and has really stepped up on a night where the Dolphins have struggled to score.
Yeah, I think that's one of the positives you got to take away from this game. Rose being very efficient from the field today. They just got to hope that now this can carry over the next couple of games with conference play, being so important for these two sides.
Perhaps you can enlighten me. Caitlin Clark, did she play at UConn? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. On my trip up the coast, she plays for the Indiana Fever now, correct?
Yes.
On my trip up the coast, I saw a lot of Caitlin Clark merch for some reason.
So I know she sponsors one of those brands. I'm trying to think of which one it is.
Okay. Well,
it might be Adidas. I could be wrong about that. She does sponsor one of the top brand, like one of those top brands.
And on the topic of the merch, as the Mavericks have another offensive board, Edmonds has another block, and the putback won't go from Molly Bowick. Quite the sequence there. But on the topic of women's basketball and Caitlin Clark, unrelated, but UConn, extremely, extremely popular on the way up.
Oh, yeah.
Unsurprising. But
yeah, we talked about that our last game. Southern Connecticut State, they played an exhibition game against UConn to start their season. And UConn, I mean, if you are a fan of women's college basketball, you can't start a conversation without talking about Gino Auriemma and the UConn Huskies. They are the standard bearer for that entire sport in terms of collegiate sports. So, yeah, I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, during my time as a Mets fan up until late, I think it was 2020, I ditched the Mets for the Phillies. What an upgrade. But watching SNY, they were very, well, at the time, I don't know if they still are, very heavily featured UConn women's basketball, and rightfully so. They had the Gene Auriemma show. As Rose finishes there, and her strong performance continues. But being in Dick's Sporting Goods at one of my stops, I helped a patron of the store locate a UConn hoodie.
And they've certainly
I did not work at Dick's Sporting Goods.
And they certainly have had their fair share of famous WNBA players from recent memory.
Rose too strong on the free throw.
And I think what good thing about the Dolphins right now, Joe, is that they're at least showing some fight towards the end of this game. At one point, it was just about a 32-point game. It's now at least 19. They're making a nice little run towards the end.
I think if you're the Dolphins coaching staff, at the very least, you like to see that your team did not roll over, played a full 40 minutes. And, you know, Nick, the Dolphins beginning to chip away, making this a bit closer, has directly coincided with the Mavericks shooting less efficiently from the field. And I said it earlier, it's not often you're going to face a team that shoots well over 50% for 3 quarters. And in a game where Mercy shot a percentage a bit closer to what you'd expect from a team on a game-by-game basis, the game could have been a lot closer. Right now, the Mavericks at about 46% from the field. Still great, but not quite 52, 53. Yeah. And in the first half at one point, they were shooting 62% from the field. That was after a full quarter. This is Rose on the drive, and she can't finish. Rose has been trying to draw that contact, has taken just 3 free throws tonight. 0 for 3 from the line, but she has 20 points and 7 boards on 10 of 16 from the floor. Layla Green checked into the game for the Mavericks. She has it in her hands. Haley Elwood kicks into the corner, and the open 3 is just a bit strong for Leary. Rose, coast to coast, lays it in.
Tough back, and with the way Marcotte's been in terms of blocks this season.
Well, if you're the Dolphins, you have to be pleased with Kyra Rose's performance tonight at the offensive end. The 7 rebounds don't hurt either. But the rest of the Dolphins, outside of Rose, are shooting 11 for 48. Three-pointer, Leary rolls off. And we will stay right here.
I was thinking about our time doing the Little League baseball, Joe, because I see Molly Bowick from Saugerties, New York, and a familiar city that we covered during the Little League baseball tournament. They had some thrilling games that we covered during that run.
Well, I say it every year, and I think the odds is that attempt by Bowick is good off the feed from Green. I say it all the time. I always have to preface, no offense to any of our other clients, but I have to say the New York State Little League Baseball Championship, which we've covered each of the last 3 years, might be my favorite non-CSI event to cover. And Rose rattles in the mid-range jumper.
Very impressive second half for Rose. Dolphins will lose this game, but Rose definitely showed out in the second half, and a nice stat line for her. And as I mentioned, they hope that can carry over into their next conference game.
Well, for you and I, Nick, nothing will ever beat covering the CSI Dolphins. Unfortunately for CSI, tonight belonged to Mercy University. A convincing win for the Mavericks in the conference opener for both teams. Mercy over Staten Island, 71-52 our final. Nick and I sign off here. Quick sign off and a quick turnaround ahead of our men's game coming up next. Tip off in that one scheduled for approximately 7:30 p.m. They've already reset our scoreboard. Once again, our final, the Mavericks 71, the Dolphins 52. Men's basketball takes on Mercy coming up next. This has been Joe Foreman alongside Nicholas Pavona on the call. We invite you to join us for the men's game, but if not, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night, and thanks for watching.